afternoon. This is News Around the World on Pensioners 106.7 FM, Agbago, Onirike, Ibadan. I am Laolu Olatunbosun. First, the top stories. Nigeria Union of Pensioners National Executive Council meets in Ibadan. UN's Food and Agriculture Organization warns of worsening locusts invasion in Ethiopia. Bushfires threaten Australia's state of New South Wales. And in sports, victorious South Africa's rugby team begins Thank You Tour. Now, the news in full. The Operation Save Corridor, OPSC, has handed over 86 Boko Haram child fighters who voluntarily surrendered to troops of Operation Lafia Dole to the Borno State Rehabilitation Center in Bulunkutu. The acting director of the Defense Information, Colonel Onyama Nwachukwu, disclosed in a statement. He said the move was on a bid to ensure that minors and other repentant Boko Haram fighters in the Northeast were given the necessary support and opportunity to embrace peace through the auspices of OPSC. According to Nwachukwu, the handover ceremony was witnessed by the Borno State Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development, Zuwaira Gambo, and UNICEF officials. Governor Sheyi Makinde of Oyo State wants parents and guardians to give their children on board qualitative education which will help them in leadership positions in the future. Makinde gave the advice at the 80th birthday celebration of his mother, Mrs. Abigail Makinde, which held at the Government House Chapel, Agodi, Ibadan. Governor Makinde, who insisted that education remained the best legal parents can bequeath to their children, urged participants to put their children's education above all things.
You can only see at the present for parents. I mean, you look at your children, you don't know what they have the potential to become in the future. So you must train them, give them everything that they require such that they can turn out to be very good in the future.
Makine's wife, Omenine, family members, and top government functionaries attended the service officiated by Bishop Ademola Muradeyo of the Methodist Diocese of Ogbomoso. Chairman of the Nigeria Labour Congress NLC in Cross River State, Benedict Opere, says the NLC and the Trade Union Congress TUC will meet over the gale of workers' protests in the state over the removal of their names from the payroll. Okweke said that the NLC and the TUC in the state had scheduled a meeting to discuss and take a position on the situation. While confirming that some workers' names were removed from the state's payroll, he said after the payment of the September salary, it was discovered that some of the names were removed in what the government said was to sanitize the payroll. He said those affected were from 2015, according to a list released by the special advisor to the governor on payroll, who wanted to know when and how the affected workers got into the payroll. The National Executive Council NEC meeting of the Nigeria Union of Pensioners NUP will hold on Tuesday, November 12th, at the Oyo State Pensioners House, Agbarigo, Onirike, Ibadan. On Monday, November 11, the NUP NEC meeting will kickstart with a courtesy call on the Executive Governor of Oyo State, Sheyi Makinde. Dignitaries expected at the meeting include the National President of the Nigeria Union of Pensioners, Dr. Abel Afolayan, the General Secretary, Elder Actor Zal, as well as members of the NUP National Working Committee. Others are state chairmen and secretaries of NUP across the 36 states, representatives of the state branches, as well as chairmen and secretaries of sectoral branches. Justice Okona Bang of the Federal High Court adjourned the trial of Abdul Rashid Maina to November 21 and 22. Maina, a former chairman of Pension Reform Task Team, is being tried by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) over an alleged $2 billion fraud. The adjournment, according to the judge, is to enable the Nigerian Correctional Service to ascertain the true state of Mr. Maina, who was wheeled into the courtroom. 3 Pennsylvania pension reform bills made their way out of the House State Government Committee and will now be considered by the full chamber, which could be called for debate when lawmakers return to Harrisburg later this month. The proposals came out of recommendations made by a public pension review commission that was formed through legislation passed 2 years ago. The commission identified actuarial savings of about $10 billion over a 30-year span for both the state employees' retirement system and the public school employees' retirement system. Currently, $65 billion of the state's $75 billion debt shortfall is due to unfunded future retirement benefits, including health insurance for public employees after they retire. House Bill 1960 calls for the consolidation of investment offices between the two retirement systems. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, has warned that an outbreak of locusts in Ethiopia is worsening and could spread to neighboring Kenya, Eritrea, and Sudan. Crop fields in the regions of Tigray, Amhara, Oromai, and Somali regional states have been destroyed by desert locusts. Some farms in Amhara have registered nearly complete loss of teff, a staple crop in Ethiopia. The FAO says the locusts have so far covered an area more than 351 square kilometers and are consuming at least 1.7 million metric tons of vegetation per day. Efforts to control the swarms have been affected by insecurity in the eastern region, particularly in the Dawa city. Australian authorities say an unprecedented number of emergency-level bushfires have threatened the state of New South Wales. More than 90 blazes were raging across the state on Friday. The fires, many in drought-affected areas, were being worsened by gusty winds and up to 35 Celsius heat. There are reports of people trapped in their homes in several places with crew unable to reach them due to the strength of the fires. Brazil's top court has voted to overturn a rule about the jailing of criminals, a change which could lead to ex-President Lula da Silva being freed from custody. The ruling stipulates that convicted criminals should go to prison only after they have exhausted their appeal options. The change could lead to the release of thousands of prisoners, including Lula. The left wing, who led Brazil between 2003 and 2010, was favorite to win last year's presidential election, but was imprisoned after being implicated in a major corruption investigation. Former United States Attorney General Jeff Sessions has announced he is entering the Republican Party race to reclaim his former Senate seat in Alabama. President Donald Trump fired his top law officer last year after a protracted feud over the inquiry into 2016 election meddling, which Mr. Sessions declined to oversee. Mr. Sessions, aged 72, held his Senate seat for 2 decades before serving as Attorney General. Mr. Trump is expected to campaign against him, but in a statement announcing his run, Mr. Sessions reiterated his support for the president, despite their public ups and downs. A Hong Kong student has died after falling during protests on Monday, sparking impromptu protests and vigils from pro-democracy activists. Alex Chill fell from the ledge of a car park during a police operation to clear the area on Monday morning. The exact circumstances of his fall are unclear, but reports say he was trying to get away from tear gas. The 22-year-old's death came after another week of political violence in Hong Kong. This is Pensioners 106.7 FM. Next is entertainment news. Fomi Waller-Bridge says she has added some little spices to the new James Bond theme, No Time to Die. The award-winning writer, actress, and creator of Fleabag says she was brought on board to help out with the script for the 25th 007 installment. No Time to Die will be the first Bond film to come out in the era of the harsh Me Too and Time's Up movements. But while questions have been raised in recent years about the misogynistic and domineering way James Bond has traditionally treated women, Waller-Bridge insists she was not told to change the culture of the films. Next, Idris Babiola is here with sports news.
In sport, first half goals from Mason Greenwood and Anthony Martial were followed by a powerful finish from Marcus Rashford after the break to complete United's biggest home win since August, with Solskjaer describing the performance of his front three as high class. Manchester United manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said his side provided a template for how they should play this season as they beat Partizan Belgrade to reach the Europa League last 32. The result kept Solskjaer's men top of Group L. Meanwhile, victory in their final match against AZ Alkmaar on December 12 will ensure a top seeding in the last 32, no matter what happens when they go to Kazakhstan to play Astana in 3 weeks. Similarly, Raul Jimenez put Wolves on the brink of the Europa League knockout stages as his injury time strike secured victory against Slovan Bratislava at the Molineux. Jimenez headed in Adama Traore's cross to take the point. South Africa's national rugby team has begun a tour of the country with their winners' trophy after their victory at the World Cup in Japan. Beginning in Pretoria, Johannesburg, and Soweto, the Springboks' 5-day tour is set to end in Cape Town on Monday. Captain Siya Kolisi thanked South Africans for their love and support in Pretoria. It will be recalled that South Africa beat England in the final after also eliminating host Japan at the semi-finals. And that ends the sport news at this hour on Pensioners 106.7 FM. I am Idris Abdullah.
And to end news around the world, a recap of the main stories. The National Executive Council of the Nigerian Union of Pensioners is set for a 2-day meeting in Ibadan on Monday and Tuesday. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization has warned of worsening locust invasion in Ethiopia. Bushfires have threatened Australia's state of New South Wales with over 90 blazes recorded in different parts. And in sports, victorious South Africa's rugby team begins Thank You Tour. For any information, please reach us on 080 222-373535 or 081-200-86270 or visit us at Pensioners House, Agbarigo, Onireke, Ibadan. On behalf of the news editor, Piles and Sabe, I am Laolu Olatunbosun. Good afternoon.
It's great to work, but it's not enough to work. Work well with focus, work hard to achieve great results.
Meet a target and prepare for glory. Get set for the honor. Prepare for sweet rest after labor.
Get your vibes on Africa's first labor radio, Pensioners FM 106.7 at Barigo Nureke Ibadan. Voice of Liberation.